and Bones is actually still real? Activision is accused of insider trading. Sexism at PlayStation? And we review the state of play. Extra, here about it!
Hey guys! Yes, I know. Hello. Yes, your savior is here. And I'm not alone. Today, my co-hosts are back from another realm. Maybe another realm? I don't know, the writing was a little weak in that area. How are you, twitch.tv/LMJ the Hitman, also known as Landen?
Feeling great, feeling refreshed. A little sore and sweaty. I just got done with my VR exercise for the day, playing body count, and I'm about 3 weeks in, and it is tearing my body apart in the best way possible.
Yeah.
I'm going to have to look into that one.
It's good, man. It's a lot of workout. They talk to you the whole time. They teach you how to do the exercises the right way, and there's 7 other players you play against at the same time, so there's a lot of competitiveness to it.
Ooh.
I think I've said all this before, but I'm just obsessed with it, and the fact that it's a video game keeps me coming back.
Right.
Way more fun than a gym, although I still sometimes go to the gym, but when I'm feeling down and out and don't want to get myself out of the house, boom, got my exercise right inside.
Yeah, I need to start doing the gym grind again. I fell off of it. But that other voice you heard, that is YouTube's own somber puppet, James.
I'm back in some form or another. Doing pretty good, though. Say, as converse to Landen, I just got out of the shower, so I'm all nice, clean, got a glass of wine, and I am ready to go.
Nice.
Very nice. Ooh, a glass of wine. What kind of wine you sipping on?
It's Ghost Pines. Blueberry, blackberry, and brown spice.
That sounds delicious.
That sounds really good. But this is Extra Extra, your weekly gaming news podcast covering the news leading up to Sunday, March 13th, 2022. And if you like us, you can go to patreon.com/thebriefing-room. Let's get to some news. Alright, our first story of the day, Skull and Bones. It still lives. Last month, Ubisoft said Skull and Bones would release in the next fiscal year, which has now started and ends on March 31st, 2023. They switched to a multiplayer-first live service. Allegedly will have survival elements where you start with a raft and you collect resources, etc. to eventually move up. And they are currently looking for playtesters with, quote, keen interest in game development, end quote. So what do you guys think of this Skull and Bones news?
I think it's hogwash, man. I think it's complete hogwash. James, you said you don't know too much about this one, right?
I've not heard about it prior to now, so I assume there's a reason for that.
I'm taking the tassels to the horse, or whatever they called, and the ropes, whatever you call it. I mean, yee, I'm taking over, because this game... thank you. This game is make-believe. It's fairy dust. It's woozy. It's wazzy, as, whatever his name's escaping me right now would say in Wolf of Wall Street. Matthew motherfucking McConaughey. There we go. Okay. This game has been in the works since 2014, I believe. It was about maybe 2015, but it was about a year and a half after the announcement, or after the release of Assassin's Creed Black Flag. Everybody loved the pirate aspect of it and the ship, so they were going to make that into a game. They announced it and started working on it for about 2 or 3 years. They scrapped it. They rebuilt it from the ground up with a whole new team, and then they scrapped it, and they brought it back up, brought it to an E3, I think, in 2017, and then it was a whole different game the third time they brought it back up. The first 2 times was like you're a pirate on your ship, and you control your ship and your crew, and then they turn it into, it's just a boat game. You just control the boat and go around and battle other boats. It sounded like trash to me and everyone else, and everyone lost interest in it, so they scrapped it again. And I haven't really heard too much about it other than Ubisoft has said throughout the years leading up to now that, like, hey, it's still being worked on. I can't imagine the millions of dollars, hundreds probably of millions of dollars that they've just soaked into this with crews and teams for the last 7-8 years to go nowhere. But I mean, the idea that they're talking about with you having your own little raft and building it up, that sounds cool, but this game has sounded cool and it sounded bad throughout the years. And they've had beta testers or whatever kind of testers in the past, so that doesn't mean anything to me. Until I see like a gameplay demo at E3 or any kind of announcement, this game, like I said, Faradest, a woozy a wazi, it doesn't exist. Yeah, rant over.
Quite the take
Yeah,
there.
yeah. I mean, I really enjoyed the Assassin's Creed 4, the pirate stuff. And it was in 3. That was one of my favorite parts in Assassin's Creed 3. Honestly, the only good part in 3, if you ask me, other than the real-world story. And then in Assassin's Creed 4, I just stayed on my ship well after I had beat and platinumed that game. Got every single trophy to that, and I was just riding around on my ship having fun. It was great to just hop on other people's ships. That's what I wanted. And then they announced that they were going to do that, and then they took that away, like I said. And then they were like, hey, we're just going to have ship combat. Nobody wants that. So...
No, actually being able to run around the ship and interact with everything, board other ships, like that's that kind of gameplay. When, like you said, in Assassin's Creed, that was one of the best parts of the game.
Yes, yes.
Like, I never left my ship unless I was either boarding another or going onto land to get resources and money to upgrade my ship further. But to like pull that kind of feature out of a game like that after setting this whole precedent,
And even then, like
yeah, that you're gonna turn away a lot of your audience that's been following it over the years, especially with how many times it's been reestablished and whatnot.
Ubisoft's on like a medium scale of like good and bad. Like they have some good titles that I actually look forward to, and they have a lot of other stuff that's just kind of turned into stuff I don't care about or even look forward to.
my thing is like going back to the boat only thing. Like they had competitor at the time. They had Sea of Thieves they were going to be actively competing against. And Sea of Thieves, you run around. Like it's not just boat stuff.
Good point.
And so like
They probably saw that and were like, something better.
Think they got cold
That's
feet?
a good point, Dean. Yeah, Dean. I call you Dean on here, right?
yeah, that's fine.
Yeah,
I
close enough.
suggested that we call you the Dean, because it has, because like you're the Dean of the podcast and your name's Dean, and it's nerdy, and I'll shut up.
You're good. I'm fine with you calling me the Dean. It's only going to inflate my ego more.
Yes, he's already got a savior complex. We might as well tack on.
Just add to it, boss.
Oh, we have fun. All right, Activision insider trading. This is something that we all want to hear more of, is Activision being in the news.
I can't wait to get into this one.
So there are three people
It's always
being
a hoot.
investigated for insider trading. Those are Barry Diller, Alexander von Furstenberg, and David Gevin. I'm not going to go into how they're all connected. There's plenty of sites that have done that, but they are all connected to each other, and you guessed it, Bobby Kotick. They each bought shares at $40 a share, which was at the time $23 per share under the trading price in privately arranged transactions. And that was on January 14th. On January 18th, Microsoft announced their acquisition of Activision at $80 a share, which is double the share price that they paid. And they stand to make a $60 million profit from this. And here's a quote from Barry Diller. Let me get into It was simply lucky. We acted on no information of any kind from anyone. It was just one of those coincidences. End quote.
It was just months prior, right?
It was days prior to the acquisition.
Oh no!
Four
I didn't
days.
realize it was that close. 4 days?
4 days.
You ain't gonna fool nobody. Even let's just say, let's
Come
just
on, man.
throw it out there. Let's just throw it out there on a whim that they actually did think to do this with no intel, nobody giving them any insight, right? They did do that. You're you're already in hot water. Don't, like, you already have so much money. I know it looks like profit. Don't do that. You already got all the eyes on you. You don't need more.
Well, and honestly, the other thing is Activision shares at the time were not something you wanted to grab because, you know, most people were wanting to wait to see the what it was going to the results of the lawsuit. They were not being really actively traded per se. And so for them to buy that many shares, you know, and then again 4 days before, that definitely is suspicious.
Yeah, no, it's very, 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 very suspicious. When is this gonna stop? When is Microsoft officially gonna be like, hey, everybody who's POSs, this is the way out? Like, can this can this happen already?
So I want to share with you, when I first saw this, I needed to rant, so I ranted to my family's group chat. Let me try to find it. Nope, that's about, there we go. Here's what I sent the screenshot of the headline, and I said, oh my god, how hard is it to keep your head down and not be greedy jackasses for once? Our podcast only has 8 episodes, and 6 of them have featured these asshats, and this was after their big stories of being sentient shit stains.
Well said. But yeah, like, they've had eyes on them for a while now. For the same thing over and over. And you'd think you'd want to try to lay low a little
Just
bit.
for a little bit.
Just a little bit.
That's what happens with greedy, money-hungry POSs. Like, they saw an easy opportunity, and they knew that was going to look bad, and they did it anyways. They're greedy. And this all proves it.
That quote doesn't sound
Here's the
fishy at all.
coincidence.
It was simply lucky, just a coincidence. Gee.
Yeah, it's just...
I thought businessmen were supposed to be good names.
No, and you know what? The sad thing is, yeah, they're being investigated by 2 government agencies for insider trading. Nothing's going to happen to them. They're just going to keep moving. That's sad. What else is sad is sexism at PlayStation. Emma Mejo sued SIE, Sony Interactive Entertainment, for gender discrimination, harassment, and wrongful termination. This lawsuit was filed back in November. It was mostly buried under Activision stuff. But she had to say, Sony tolerates and cultivates a work environment that discriminates against female employees subjected to unlawful, disparate treatment in pay and work opportunities. Just this week, 8 more women have joined the lawsuit and added their accounts. Women are I should say allegedly, since this is still a lawsuit. women are allegedly looked over for promotion, they are bullied, and they leave the company, and there's a high turnover rate because of that. Sony last month had requested the case be dismissed due to a lack of evidence, but that won't occur until at least April, when that hearing for dismissal comes in. What do you guys think?
I think that it's absurd that there's been so much of this coming to light that pretty much every episode has something.
Yeah, just about every single episode. Yeah, well, whenever you find the shit, it's everywhere. You know, it's easier to find it. Once it's uncovered, it just keeps getting more and more. You just keep lifting the rug higher and higher, and you find more and more shit.
My thing is, to Sony's request, it would cost them more to do the lawsuit, go through with the lawsuit, and not have it dismissed, yes. But my thing is, there's this thing I don't know what it would be officially called. I call it the cost of clout. So, they're saying that there's a lack of evidence for the case. If that's the case, yes, it may cost you a little bit more. But the amount of good PR, if the case gets, if they win the case, is higher, it's worth more than what you're paying in the legal fees. Because then you can be like, see, we're the good guys, It just looks suspicious that they're trying to, if there's no evidence, why do you care if the case, goes through, especially with all the other stuff with Activision Blizzard.
Right, because if they were actually to go through with the case, at least they'd be able to say, see? We told you. We're innocent. Not just, no. Don't look into this any further. Just dismiss it. Just cut everything off. That's a little... Yeah. That can be seen as a little fishy.
They're saying, the other side is saying there is a high turnover rate. That can be looked into with the, in the lawsuit, and pointed to as evidence. Because Sony would have to show what their turnover rate for female employees is, because that's part of a case.
Right, and again with, being in the spotlight already, it's it may cost you a little bit more dosh in the long run, but it'll take some of that heat off that, because, everybody's already paying attention. Everyone's already suspecting the worst. So, it might cost a little bit more, but it'll make you look better if you do come
out. It also makes them look worse because wasn't it back in November when PlayStation called out Activision? Wasn't that in November? So they were being sued at the same time they were criticizing Activision for their lawsuit on the same thing. So that definitely is not a great look either.
No. Again, make sure all your ducks are in a row before you go disrupting someone else's.
Speaking up's only going to make more eyes on you.
Deal. Yeah. And then someone looks a little deeper, it's like, oh!
Yeah.
You're guilty of this too. Neat!
I think just about every company in gaming is guilty of it. You don't even have to look any farther than the gamers themselves. Look at how gamers treat women in gaming. I saw a clip recently of a female streamer. She was streaming herself playing, this was when Halo had first come out. She was streaming herself playing the Halo multiplayer, and she'd gotten killed. And these two people not knowing that she was streaming, they're like, yeah, Halo's not really a girls' game. You should go. You should go find My Little Pony or something like that. Has like that's what they have to deal with anyway, even outside of working for these gaming companies. But that's also the people that are playing the games go into games, so these toxic attitudes are popping up.
Women take about almost 50% of the gaming market, so like they have just as much right to be there as the men do.
Yeah.
And any community is gonna have those incels. There's like, you don't belong.
Insecurities
here. This is
is what
our domain. Yeah.
It really is. Like
games are for everyone.
Man. You like having the way you
time.
feel when you play games. Why would you not want that for everyone? Like literally for everyone. And the more people that like the games, the better the games. The more games we get, the more we can all come together. Maybe one day gaming can create world peace.
And the amount of people that just go on and play games like in voice chats and whatnot just for the sake of like trying to compensate for some insecurities or trying to be some big shot that they aren't and put everyone else down and try to get ahead and all that stuff. It's like, come on, it's supposed to be a place to everyone come together, have a good time, play some games, chill, make some new friends, whatnot, not put everyone else down and just be an asshole, basically. Like, it completely ruins the fun for everybody, and it just makes
go find another way to get out your frustrations. And it ain't healthy to do it on the game. It ain't.
Yeah.
You're not getting anything done.
No.
Your own fun and everyone else's fun.
Like, yeah, it's collateral damage. It's just not like a sustainable way to keep a community going in a good manner and keep it.
My wife plays games, and she plays a lot of the social deception games. Stuff like Among Us. First Class Trouble is a big one. She plays a lot of. And there's been several times where she was just flat voted out because she was a woman. Not because she had showed anything bad. That's just, get this woman out of here.
And again, with those kind of games, you've got, like, I played Among Us with a group of people a few times with randoms, and like, not everyone sees the same things that are going on, so it's like, obviously not everyone's gonna have the same information to go off of, and everyone's trying to deceive each other, so that's kind of part of it. But then to get like the in-game lobby, and then someone just start talking the worst garbage about people, is like, because they didn't vote who they said to vote or whatnot. Like, I had one of my friends getting like cussed out, and someone, again, the female thing came into play because of their name, kind of hinted at that. So it's like, dude.
So my diversity of like who I play with, it's probably not the largest. I have a small group of friends that I really play with for the most part, and they're all dudes. But every once in a while, I have a few female gamer friends that I play with on multiplayer games. And about a couple months ago, I think it was actually the release of the newer Call of Duty, chance to play with one of my friends. Her name's Gabby Please on Twitch. You want to look her up? But just like one first lobby we hop into, just the sound of her voice, everybody just saying just god awful things, and I have normal conversations with her all the time, and then to hear that, and like as soon as I hop into a lobby and then just bombard her, absolutely awful. She deals with it every day. She's used to it, I suppose. At least she'd say she handled it like a champ. For me, I felt so uncomfortable. Like, you have to deal with this every lobby you go into. I'd rather talk to somebody or talk trash to somebody about who's doing better, not about all the sexual things that comes out of these people's mouths. It's so hard to hear and be around. Can't even believe it comes out of these dudes' mouths.
And the fact that it's
Yeah.
even something that you'd have to get used to, like it happening so consistently that it becomes the norm that you have to build up a resistance.
That's
to.
not okay. Yeah, that's not okay. And I wish there was a. Hopefully one day we'll have supercomputers that can hear the hate speech and be able to, detect what really is hate speech and what's just playful banter. But hopefully one day that'll happen to where it can just auto-kick these people and ban these people and just teach them a lesson. This isn't the console for you. This isn't the game for you. You don't play this game. We took your $60. Sucks to be you. Don't talk like trash.
Yeah.
Yeah, hopefully we can get there at some point. Because right now, it's like you can drop a slur and you'll be fine. You can call someone bad at the game and you get booted for 14 days.
Side note, I want at some point to assemble a group of friends to play I found a really fun mod of Among Us. I don't know that I'd ever be interested in just playing Among Us normal, but there's this mod that adds a bunch of roles, and I would just want to play with friends and just goof. Like, there's a role called Jester, and it's if you've ever played One Night Werewolf, Town of Salem, like that's the Tanner. You're trying to get voted out. You're trying to get killed. Then there's there's just a bunch of roles, and it's just great. And I just would want to goof around with friends doing that.
I'm quite fond of those kind of games.
So, all right.
Like, remember that first game playing Among Us? It was like, yeah, I have no clue what's going on. Can you lead me around the whole ship? And then it's like, oh yeah, sure, I'll lead you around. He was trying to show me everything. I was a break off from him, go kill somebody, come behind you. Oh, sorry, I got lost. All right, where are we going? And he's like, yeah, it's like telling me everything. And then it's like, I killed the last one. I was like, wait, what happened? It was like, dude, I think Somber knows more than he's letting on.
Yeah, I think you get to see a lot of the dark side of your friends, of how well they can lie when it comes down to winning in a game. Especially when it's the purpose of it. It's all, all lighthearted fun, but you definitely get to see like how good someone can lie when you play Among Us.
So,
yep.
You get to see how good of a manipulator your friend group is.
There's a group I watch every week. They play that mod I was telling you about. That's how I discovered it. And there's this little section on the Polis map next to decontamination. And it's just this little section that does nothing. It's just a bookshelf that's in a little corner. They call it Weeb Club. And they say there's a rule that you don't kill in Weeb Club. All of the bodies are always found in Weeb Club. Yeah, it definitely checks out.
It checks out.
So anyway, we're going to move on. I'm going to have Landen do some of the heavy lifting with this. I do have some notes, but yesterday I had work being done on my house, so I didn't get to watch the State of Play, so I can't really speak myself about the State of Play stuff. So Landon, do you want to go through the list, or you want me to?
Yeah. I'd love to. I would love to. Let's see how well I could do this. So first, they started off with a game called Exoprimal by Capcom. It releases next year in 2023 sometime. Graphically, looks pretty good. It's coming to PS4 and PS5, so be wary of that. It's not one of those next-gen games. So it's, to me, when I hear that, when it's going to be for past consoles and new consoles, I see, hey, we're not pushing this game as far as we possibly can. That's not a bad thing. I'm just saying, graphically it looks good, but I'm sure at the end of the day it'll probably look better. It could have looked better. That being said, it looks like a lot of fun. I don't necessarily fully understand the whole dinosaur exosuit thing. You're in like a mech suit and you're killing whole loads of dinosaurs that are just spawning in the world, and you and 3 other friends, and you choose through multiple different exosuits to just kill hordes of dinosaurs. There are other games like this that exist, but this one you're in mech suits, and it looks like fun, but I need to know more. Yeah, like I said, that comes out in 2023. Ghostwire Tokyo came up next. That comes out this month. They announced that there's a 18-minute gameplay video on YouTube. I'm probably going to watch that later today. I think Ghostwire Tokyo looks pretty good. Story and gameplay. I think that game looks phenomenal. I don't know too many people talking about it, though. They really just kind of touched up on Ghostwire, just say, hey, for sure, it's coming out this month. Here's a little highlight reel. Here's the official story trailer. And they literally just ended it with that for Ghostwire. They announced, and I don't know if it was already had a release date, or this was them announcing the release date, but Final Fantasy Strangers of Paradise by Team Ninja, the people who made Nioh and Nioh 2. I might be saying that wrong. Phenomenal team, great games, but they March 18th, this month, just around the corner, it releases, and it's going to have a demo. And I didn't even know this. In the notes it says the progress transfer, so that's pretty cool.
I love demos where progress transfers over.
I know people are feeling a little iffy on Strangers of Paradise. Like, it's a Final Fantasy game made by a whole different team that doesn't really normally do Final Fantasy games, but it could be a good mix-up for the genre, hopefully. We'll see. I know it takes place in the first Final Fantasy. That's way too long ago. Don't even know nothing about that. So that's definitely... That game's story is for some people, but the people who like Team Ninja, I'm sure this game will slap. Like, they're a good studio. And it's kind of like a From Software-like game.
With the chaos?
Yes. They also showed a trailer for Forspoken. They didn't say it was delayed, so they announced prior to this that it was delayed, so they didn't mention its delay through this trailer, but Forspoken's new release date is on October 11th. They showed some more gameplay, which actually got to see more of like how the style of the combat will work, and it's looking like it's open world. I can't fully tell. The story is what's got me interested. The gameplay looks good. I'm not completely sold on the game. I mean, it looks pretty, and I know it's a PlayStation exclusive, but I'm not fully sold on that game. I don't know about you guys.
It looks interesting, but yeah, I like the concept. I just need to see more of it.
Another thing they talked about was Gundam Evolution. Now, I was a fan of Gundam back in the day. I can't tell you any good games that I've ever played that was Gundam related, but this one, although it's free to play, this one looks like a really good 6v6 like Call of Duty mech suit style game. Like, it looks pretty unique. It runs at like 60 frames. It looks like they put some time and polish into the combat. And if it's free to play, I like Gundam. I'm gonna try it. Like, what's the worst that can happen? You know, it sucks. I move on. It's free to play. So some good Gundam stuff. Oh yeah, I guess it's FPS, but it looks like you can do certain things go into third person. And they announced some indie stuff like JoJo's Bizarre Adventure. Well, that's not really, I mean, it kind of indie. JoJo Bizarre's Adventure, where there's like 50 playable characters. If you're into JoJo, that show is batshit crazy. I don't fully understand the appeal to it. I'm sorry if you like it. It's just batshit crazy. I can't follow along to it. So it's cool. Yes, I mean, JoJo's Bizarre Adventure, All-Star Battle
bizarre.
R. What a name. 50 playable characters, so if you're into that, that's pretty cool. They announced like a Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles old school sprite games, like the beat 'em up side scrollers, like a trio of those games. I grew up with those games. I don't know if I'll play it or buy it, but I definitely grew up and have such love and nostalgia for Turtles in Time. There was a couple of arcade machines near me where I would just put in the money to play those games.
Yes.
I just love Turtles. I loved side-scroller beat-em-ups when I was like 8 or 9, and I just put so much money into that machine. So that's pretty cool, but you know, sometimes nostalgia's best left in the past. Side-scrollers are not my thing anymore. With all the things that's coming out this year, and the things that I'm mentioning through this announcements from their State of Play, like there's so much to focus on. The little stuff is going to have to take a step back into the back burner, maybe never to be touched. What else they got? Returnal, yeah, this is actually pretty cool. Returnal has a free 3.0 update. Didn't even know there was a 2.0 update, but that's cool. Co-op and a new mode. So that's pretty cool. It's free. That game is great. I'd like to go back. I think I'll get the platinum to that game. it's tough, but it's a lot of fun, and the story is very weird.
Did they?
That's the best way for me to describe it. The story is very weird.
Did they say what the new mode entails, or no?
No, I don't think so. Just the mention of the new mode, and that's out in March sometime too, I believe. Actually, it might have been April. I'll tell you if I can. I'm gonna keep moving, but I'll tell you if I can figure out the actual release date of that. So like I said, I don't know. Dio Field Chronicle and Valkyrie Asylum, some indie stuff. I don't know anything about those, so I don't have much intel in my brain to talk about that. I know that Valkyrie Asylum is this year, so if you're into that, that rings a bell to your brain. That's this year. Congrats for you. I think that was it for PlayStation, the PlayStation's State of Play. It was mediocre. Some things that they talked about they needed to talk about because it's stuff coming up right around the corner. But I honestly, I need some more intel on God of War. Like, at what point are you going to talk about that or give us an official release date? There's other games that have been announced for this year that they're still not really mentioning. I'm still waiting. I don't know if it'll be in a State of Play, but I have this gut feeling that they're going to announce a 4-player co-op mode to Horizon Forbidden West. I'm fairly certain they did it with Ghost of Tsushima, and I think that's going to be their live service style that they announced a while back. They're going to announce more or have more live service games than PlayStation exclusives.
Yeah.
So I'm sure that Horizon, being one of their big sellers, would for sure be one of those live service games. So I'm just waiting for that to get announced and can't wait. 4 players on one of my favorite games. Sounds good to me. Am I missing anything?
No, that's everything I had on there. For the State of Play, you say it's mediocre. For a State of Play, I think that's a fairly good State of Play. State of Play, I feel like, is always kind of more on a technical and indie side than it is, the big, Nintendo, what you think when you think Nintendo Direct. I think it's more of a, more gameplay, deep dives, tech specs for hardware, and indie things. So this was actually fairly big in my opinion.
You were right. The their big stuff is usually at their PlayStation showcases. I was thinking that State of Play last year in September, where they announced Spider-Man 2, the Wolverine game. They announced all kinds of stuff. I can't really think of it on the spot, but they announced banger after banger, and I was thinking that was a State of Play, but it was not. It was a PlayStation showcase. So we're probably gonna get a PlayStation showcase. I think probably in the summertime, where you get the real big stuff, or the late summer. Because, if they're going to wait for God of War to be in a showcase like that, then, it was predicted to be out this summer, and I don't think God of War can live in a world where it comes out in October or November. I know it's a big title, but when you have, these, haymakers, there's just too many people releasing AAA, quadruple A games at the end of the year and in the beginning of the year. And even Horizon Forbidden West just released next to Elden Ring. And when Horizon Dawn came out, it was released right next to Breath of the Wild. So summertime would be a great time for God of War. And honestly, that's closer. I want my God of War 2. I want to finish the story. It's the conclusion. Give me God of War. Give me God of War.
Yeah. When they do God of War, I think they probably will do God of War in a State of Play. But like I said, it'll be one of those gameplay deep dives where they really get into the nitty gritty of the mechanical changes they've made to the game, like they did with the deep dive on Horizon Forbidden West.
Oh, for sure. Well, I lost that word before it even came to me. With how much people are looking forward to that game and how well the first one did. Yeah, they're definitely going to do a bit more of a in-depth look at the game when it's about to come to us.
I feel like the entire I did the recap of the State of Play was just me just rambling from beginning to end. So guess I don't know.
You
We'll
covered
re-listen to
everything
this, and
pretty
I'm gonna
well,
put
though.
my hands in my.
It was
my hand
coherent
in my hands and shake
you
while I
made
listen
some
to
good
myself
points. I opened my mouth and immediately
all the
just
sports
choked.
teams, all the sports teams where we live, they always choke. So it's natural for the state that we live in.
No, I have no team spirit, home team spirit at all. Zero.
Oh boy.
My bad. Sorry if I'm a
I'm not giving my
I mean,
input on
anybody
this.
out there or in here,
Well, no
I'll
one,
keep it to myself.
yeah.
Sports
No
ball.
one,
Yeah, I'm not really a sports guy at all.
Sports ball?
I like playing sports outside if I go outside.
I'm not either. I will watch WWE,
Are you
and
gonna-
it's
are you
just
gonna-
over the top,
Are you gonna play that new
and
one?
it's fun watching
the
people
new,
beat the crap out of
2K
each other.
game that came out?
I've never really been too interested in the games. They've always felt
PS2 SmackDown versus Raw
Not
2006
good.
or something like that was the last time I put any time or effort into a wrestling game.
so. I've got one of the
Hey.
WWE games for the PlayStation 1 in my game case still, but yeah, those games were just
Yeah.
so junky feeling.
Yeah,
They never
I
felt good to
feel you on
play. I'd rather just watch it.
So, we're probably gonna end now, guys. That's everything we needed to talk about. If you liked, or even if you didn't like this podcast, make sure to do all of the things, like hitting the subscribe and the like and the bell on youtube.com/the XofPlays, or giving it a high rating on whatever podcast service you use that allows you to rate, because some of them don't allow you to rate, which is crazy, so you can find like-minded people. I brought it up before, but on patreon.com/thebriefingroom, you can financially support the show and get cool rewards. That's all from us. Take care.
Take care.